Welcome to another edition of Power Core Productions and Podcastings. And in today's video, we're going to be continuing My Hero Academia: The Dark Knight Returns. What If Deku Was Batman Season 2 Part 3. As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Where we last left off with our series, Izuku and Melissa began their internships at the Sir Night-Eye Agency, both of whom being seen as the two successors to two of the world's most finest heroes, that being in All Might and the Dark Knight himself, the Batman. However, Izuku, using the training that he's received from the former Caped Crusader, is able to be much more decisive and swing into action when it comes to saving Eri, as such keeping her from out of the clutches of the Chie Hasaikai and of Chisaki, aka Overhaul. However, Overhaul is not done yet in his pursuit of Eri, as he has not only acquired the help from the League of Villains, but also has dealings with another organization that looms in the darkness known as the Court of Owls, and has sent some of their top agents after the prize. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Beware the Court of Owls that watches all the time, ruling Gotham from a shadowy perch behind granite and lime. They watch you at your hearth, they watch you in your bed. Speak not a whispered word of them, or they'll send the Talon to strike you dead. For many in the prefecture of Gotham, Japan, that was nothing more but a nursery rhyme. Something that parents told their children to make sure that they behaved. Like the boogeyman or other creatures of the dark that go bump in the night. However, little did they know that those words, they were far from that of fiction or fairy tale, but rather they dwelled in a darker, secretive reality. Who are the Court of Owls, or what are they? Many believe that they're some of the world's most rich and elite, and to some extent you might be right. From politicians to heroes, everything in between. The Court of Owls was built on a foundation, a belief that there was a chosen few who could truly decide what was best for the world. Now, of course, this group was not like a common group of villains that you might think of on Saturday morning cartoons or from comics or manga. No, this group was quite different. You see, true power was more than just the amount of money that one had in its possession. It was about the influence. It was about being able to affect the world with just mere words. It's said that those who are rich are loud, but that the wealthy whisper. Yes, it's about assets, what you bring to the table. If it was just about money, then anyone could join, but some of the richest and most wealthiest people in all the world could never afford to get into the Court of Owls. It wasn't just about how much money you had, it was how you used your money. It wasn't just about the influence you could have, it's about how you used your influence. Sure, you have those who are on social media, those who do things for clicks and likes, and they're adored by everyone, but in the end, no one takes them seriously. No, the Court of Owls believed in a different form of power and structure, the kind where simply just thinking of them struck fear. However, the court had lost its power through the passages of time. As hero society started to come up, they knew that they had to adapt and evolve or they were to die. They preferred to work behind the shadows, keeping their power and influence to themselves. A bribe here or there, a few people go missing, never to be seen again, not a single trace. Of course, during the Golden Age as it was, there was All Might and the Batman. Two in particular that stood atop as the world's finest. They were not ones to be taken lightly. However, the court did not panic. It did not lose its way in that time. For you see, the court knew that there would come a day when All Might and Batman would no longer be here. No matter how much they tried to portray themselves as invincible, every man would fall to the passage of time. The one entity that no one could defeat. And just within the last years, their patience was rewarded. It started with the retirement of Batman and subsequently the Bat family. And not too long after, even All Might saw a reduction in his heroing before finally stepping down to retire altogether. The time and the promised day had now loomed upon them. Slowly, crime was starting to go back into the rise once again. Even with the number one hero now in Endeavor, and with the strong boasting of the next generation, they knew that it could never be like the first. It was at one particular meeting that the court discussed such a matter. Do you believe the time has finally come? But of course, with the retirement of All Might, the self-proclaimed symbol of peace, soon enough the court will be making its next move. I have endeavored to put a small fortune into the hands of a promising individual who seeks to join us. Do you mean that boy of the Shia Saikai, the one with the bird mask, the germaphobe? Yes, he calls himself Chisaki, does he not? Or to some he is known as Overhaul. He's quite the ambitious one. But what happened to the previous leader of the Shia Saikai? He vanishes suddenly, and now this new youngster seems to take charge. I feel treachery is within his midst. That may very well be, but that is of no concern to us. What really matters is what they claim they can provide, and that is long-lasting power. And just what exactly is this long-lasting power that he speaks of? Is it a powerful quirk user? There are plenty of those in the world, and some of our best do not even need quirks to beat them. Honestly, if it's not someone with the power of All Might, or whatever that creature was that battled against him in his final moments, then it's of no consequence to us. No, he has the power to take and give quirks. The group would listen in as the plan was explained. A bullet and a cure. A bullet that takes the quirk and the cure that revitalizes it. Starting a never-ending war and cycle between the heroes and the villains, with him as the primary supplier. With our backing, of course, we would be compensated handsomely. But for something like this, it could, yes, it could start an infinity war, if you will. A war that will go on again and again and again, as in the symbol of infinity. The villains taking away the quirks of the heroes seeking the cure to get back the quirk. The heroes in turn using the quirk erasing bullets to stop the villains buying the cure to get their powers back, going back and forth over and over again. Why, that truly is ambitious. But do tell, is he 100% sure that something like this can work? How much do you trust this Overhaul? I have told him well enough that it will take a lot more than just sweet promises to get into our good graces. I'm giving him a trial period. I'm providing him with the resources that he may need to accomplish his task, up to a small amount, but for him it should be more than suffice. If he cannot deliver as promised, then he is of no use or consequence to us. But I do see potential in his plan, and I believe we may be able to use it for our own ends. In the meantime, Overhaul was being pushed to his limits. He had lost Erie, but getting her back wasn't going to be much of an issue. It was trying to get her to stop running that was the big problem. He had tried multiple ways of manipulating and breaking her, and yet she still continued to run. A naughty child indeed, but all the same, why hadn't he been able to find her this time? Putting his resources to good use, he soon discovered that the girl was being kept in a bunker under the police station. So, the police finally got to her, huh? Well, that is quite a bother. There's nothing to worry about, Talon would say to Overhaul. We've already devised a plan to get past the security. There are a couple of low-level heroes and some police. Shouldn't be too much to worry about. I really don't want to have to deal getting into a fight with the authorities. But as long as you can make sure that things don't get too messy, then I'm sure we can overlook this. After all, the last thing we need is a whole bunch of dead cops being stained onto our resume. You're not the one that's going to be involved. It's my team that's going to have to go in and do the dirty work. But it doesn't matter. To this world, we don't even exist anyway. It's of no consequence how many of us die. But you're the best of them. So I'm assuming you don't plan to die so easily. Of course not. This is the extraction point. Make sure you're there at the time listed. We'll have the package waiting for you. Afterwards, you'll have to take her to one of the newer hideouts and lay low for a bit. Even if they don't have evidence that you're the one they're after, it's been hot on your pursuit recently. Yeah, I get it. I'm gonna have to make sure I put a restraint on her this time around. Maybe for the best. With that, Talon would disappear, his team getting to work on the extraction. It was under the cover of night. The bunker where Erie was staying at was hidden deep underground. However, if they thought that the enemy was coming from above, they'd be sorely mistaken. Izuku was at the dorms when he got an alert on his phone. He was told to get outside immediately. Sneaking out, he would meet with Carrie as they got into the car, racing immediately. Your suit's in the back. I'll bring you up to speed. What's going on? It's Erie. They broke into the station. They're going after her. What? Have you alerted any of the other heroes? There are other pros that are being called in even as we speak. Chances are you might not be the only first year who's seeing some action tonight. Well, how were they able to? Bribery. Izuku would hear through the intercoms in his mask. Bribery? Yes. It seemed there was a mole on the inside. He was able to let them in without any need or worry. They devised countermeasures to the plan. They snuck in, killed a couple of officers and heroes before taking the girl and getting out. Do we have any way of tracking her? Not in a way they'll suspect. Once you get there, make sure you activate detective mode. In doing so, investigate the crime scene. You'll be able to track her. By the time they got there, it looked like an absolute bloodbath. Half of the station was in flames that were being doused out. The building reduced to almost completely rubble. Izuku slipped through and made his way through the corridors, before eventually finding Erie's room and how they broke in. Activating detective mode, Izuku would search through the area, hoping to find anything that he could that could possibly lead him on the tracks to Eri. Her fingerprints. Eri hadn't been wearing shoes. Her feet and her hands, they left a trail that he could trace. He slowly made his way through the makeshift halls and through the open area that had been formed. The earth had been completely changed and reorganized, as if something had molded or formed within the walls, blocking off passages and making new ones. You're more than likely dealing with someone with some sort of terraforming quirk. Someone who can alter Earth or alter the terrain around him. Likely. But still, I can follow the trail of fingerprints. Izuku would continue his search until making his way outside. As he used his rocket boots gliding into the air, he would continue to search. The prints, although faint, were strong enough. Unfortunately, though, it would start to rain, and it seemed as if the trail was going to be lost entirely, as he came to what seemed to be a dead end. Crap, it's starting to rain. At this point, don't worry. From that point, do another search. You might be able to find something else. Izuku will once again investigate the surrounding perimeter of where the trail had gone cold, hoping to see if he could find something else. It's a package. It's chewing tobacco. Do you think? Possibly. He probably stopped to take a dip. That might be your next clue. See if it leads to a trail. Izuku would follow the trail of chewing tobacco, eventually leading him to a road of sorts. Once he made his way through the city, he would tell them where the trail had come to an end. In the meantime, Bruce, who was at the back computer, would be triangulating and cross-referencing all of the buildings within that surrounding area. This one in particular. What is it? It's under a no name. A no name? A false name, to be more specific. It's of someone who doesn't exist. Some family, a summer home if you will, has a compound not too far off from it. A lot of open acres. I see. You think that might be them? In all likelihood. I'm going to be sending this in to Barbara at the GCPD. Hopefully she can get a warrant for that area. That's probably where they're hiding out. The original raid that was going to be on the Chie Hasaikai hideout the first time around was already empty and cleared out. Chances are they moved their operations. They're probably going to lay low. What should I do for now? Return back to UA. We'll go over all the evidence tomorrow. Izuku, I need you to stay calm. But still, I gave her my word. I promised that, and it will be fine. We'll save her, and we'll bring them to justice. Remember, by the book, Izuku. Understood. The next day, a meeting would be called. Izuku would arrive, along with Dinky and Jiro, Kirishima, Uraraka, Froppy, Mr. Aizawa, Mirio, and the other members of the Big Three. Sir Nai had gathered them all. The reason? For all of the things that had transpired just the night before. Thankfully, the evidence that Izuku had gathered proved to be useful, as now they had a new target, a new place where they were going to launch their raid. This is going to be sudden, but chances are they're probably trying to lay low, so we may have the element of surprise, but we can't afford to wait for long. We're already making sure that the main access points to the city are being blocked. In just 12 hours' time, tonight, we are going to raid the Chie Hasaikai. Tonight? Some of the heroes had their misgivings, like Rocklock. Are you sure about this? I mean, don't you think we need to coordinate a bit further? Gather more heroes? I mean, if these guys are really as bad as you say they are, then are we really going to stand a chance of going at them right now? We really don't have a choice in the matter, Sir Night-Eye would tell them. We've already lost enough heroes and officers in the line of duty. We've seen how far they're willing to go to get Eri, and they'll fight even further to try to keep her from out of our grasp. As Izuku looked around, he realized Melissa wasn't there. After making sure he was able to get out of the meeting, he would try and give her a call. She would answer, explaining that she had gone off to do some more training with All Might and with Gran Torino. When she asked why he called, he explained what happened. Melissa was worried. When she was told just how soon the operation was going to be, she was already prepared to come by and help them as soon as she could. Of course, All Might wasn't going to stop her. He had been privy to what was going on in the case, and as such, he wanted to help that little girl out as much as anyone. Without any more conversating on the matter, Melissa would arrive not too long afterwards, maybe around 3 hours later. She too was going to be involved in this. Everyone was. And they were going to be getting some help from the unlikeliest of sources, that being in the form of the Green Arrow and the Black Canary. Sup, kids? Hope you don't mind having us old geezers around. Sensei, Denki would ask. Master? Jiro would ask. You guys are coming too? Well, we can't just turn around when there's some kid that needs our help. It wouldn't be very heroic of us. And besides, Black Canary would tell them, you've both been doing really well, and we want to have a chance to see just how far you've progressed. I thank you both for coming to assist, Sir Night-Eye would say. It's not very often we get heroes of your status around here. It's greatly appreciated. But what about the new number one, Endeavor? Why isn't he involved in this? As much as I would like to have the new number one's help, he's investigating another case at the moment. As such, I can't rely on him to come along. But still, I like to think that I've put together a good squad. As such, I'm counting and depending on all of you. We have to bring this to an end, and tonight's going to be our only chance. Izuku would be surprised to learn that Sparrow, aka Carrie Kelly, was also going to be involved in this raid as well. Barbara had already gotten the permission from the GCPD and the search warrant that was going to be issued right before the raid started. Nightwing was going to be waiting outside of the city's perimeters, just in case the villains got any farther. Tim Drake would be working at Wayne Tech HQ to assist them with strategy or any gadgets that they might need deployed. And Bruce was sitting at the computer, waiting for when the raid was set to begin. However, within the walls of the Batcave, there were footsteps. A young man took a hold of a red-like mask, a helmet that he locked onto his face before preparing to head out. That's the one you're choosing? Yeah, it suits my style. Besides, I hate sitting on the sidelines. It's already driving me batshit crazy. I understand. But still, you'll have to make sure that no one knows your identity. From this point forward, there is no going back. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Hell yeah, old man. I'm ready to cause some havoc. I hope the nerd hasn't gotten too ahead of me yet, 'cause I'm on my way. Understood. Get going then. With that, the figure would disappear from the cave into the darkness. the heroes getting themselves ready for what was to come, as the raid on the Shie Hasaikai was set to begin. This concludes My Hero Academia: The Dark Knight Returns. What If Deku Was Batman? Season 2, Part 3. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we're going to be continuing High School DxD Fallen Hero. What If Issei Was the Blue Beetle? Season 2, Part 3. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.